Hello, and welcome to the panel where we take a look at graphic novels and talk about their story, art, and everything in between. On this episode, we're falling through a portal in our bedroom and landing headfirst in a place that's part Alice in Wonderland, part Adventure Time, and part Tank Girl. Join us as we follow along on a delightfully blood soaked, muffin hugging journey to see who will survive the green haired girl who hates Fairyland. Before we start, we want to let you know that you can enter to win this Marvel animated style Deadpool Merc for Hire statue from Diamond Select Toys. Just let us know in the comments what is your favorite Scotty Young comic. One winner will be selected at random and we'll announce the winner at the end of the show. So, joining me today are from Talking Toys is everyone's favorite fangirl, roller derby athlete Natasha, aka Cannon Doll X.
Hi.
And production manager for Previews World Weekly, Johnny Rose.
What's up, muffin huggers?
Doing
Doing
So
good. I am excited. I feel like Christmas has come early. I'm excited to talk about this book.
So what's great about this show is everyone gets to pick, what comic they really want to talk about and everything. So when it came to my pick, I really love I Hate Fairyland, but I really just wanted to see Johnny's face if we were able to get Scotty Young to talk to him. So this is dedicated to you, Johnny.
Oh, thank you. Christmas has come early today for me. So, and as you said, Scotty Young, we did interview Scotty Young yesterday. So throughout the course of the show, we're going to have some of his responses to some of the topics. We're going to talk about story. We're going to talk about art. We're going to talk about some of the final thoughts. And we want to get everyone else's opinions on I Hate Fairyland, especially if you've read it. Well, I mean, if you haven't read it, then you wouldn't have an opinion. But let us know in the comments and follow along and what you think about the I Hate Fairyland story, art, whatnot, and play along at home.
Now, for those of you watching that are new to I Hate Fairyland, let me give you a little info on the series and artist. It was published in October of 2015 by Image Comics and is written and drawn by fan favorite creator Scotty Young. I Hate Fairyland follows Gert, a young girl who wants nothing more than to have a grand adventure in a magical world. However, when she gets her wish and winds up in Fairyland, she finds herself unable to complete the quest that would return her home. Now, after mentally aging over the course of 30 years, as a jaded adult who still looks like a child, she takes out her frustrations by binge drinking and ruthlessly murdering the lovable inhabitants of Fairyland. Now, this is the first time we've discussed a comic written and drawn by the same person. So let me just touch on Scotty's background before the deep dive. He started working for Marvel in 2000, in particular illustrating Spider-Man Legend of the Spider-Clan miniseries. And since then, he's worked on a multitude of different Marvel titles, including the super popular Marvel Baby variant covers, which are super cute. And he's one of his biggest projects was working on Marvel's Eisner Award-winning series, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Is a great title. It's a daunting task to read it all. I have it here actually.
Yeah, show how big it is.
Look how big that is. That's almost as big as my head.
Whoa.
So,
But it's amazing.
But hey, you know what?
That much art.
In this year of our Dark Lord 2020, where we're all under lockdown, we've got nothing but time. So, good book to pass the time.
Yes.
But we're going to
All
talk
right.
about Fairyland.
Yeah. So what is everyone's initial thoughts before we get into the details? What about you, Scotty? I mean, Johnny. I'm just gonna call you Scotty, huh?
I don't have the facial hair to be Sky. I'm gonna let Natasha take this first because I
Okay.
could probably fanboy about this for hours and it would just become
all right.
the meat
That's
show.
Natasha.
Well, the initial pull is that it's Scotty Young, so you know it's going to have like awesome art. It's going to be just really great, detail, colorful, exciting. Like we were just talking earlier, how there's pages that are panels that look like they're glowing almost, like the lights coming through the pages. Like it's fantastic, and just the imagery itself is going to be great. And then you dive into the story, and you're like, oh, this is fun. Oh, this is dark. This is very dark. And I have kids, and one of them decided, because normally she hops in and reads comics with me, she left after the first chapter. So definitely not for little kids, but mid and older is probably great. And it's a really fun story. It's a twisted story, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I do want to point out that I think it says right here at the top, rated M for mature. So,
See, mine. Oh, it's at the bottom.
ah. I can't imagine how that conversation went. Like, mommy, why is she biting those mushroom people's heads?
Why is she killing everyone, mommy? That was her words.
Well, when you're trapped in a magical fairyland for 27 years, you go a little bit crazy.
Oh yeah, that'd be a bit much.
The
No,
drugs
I
and booze
really
probably don't help.
enjoyed it.
We actually have a Twisted Picks production saying huge Scotty fan. So
Yeah,
welcome to the welcome to the club.
yeah, he's amazing. What about you, Johnny? If you can give us one blurb, like a little short and frame, like your thoughts.
You can't have me give one blurb about Scotty Young.
Like a virtue size blurb.
I honestly, I wish I could remember how I came across Scotty's artwork, and I might have been like peripherally through the Oz book. I hadn't read it like at the time, but it was kind of like sitting there in the back of my mind. And then I think the variant covers, the Young Marvel variant covers came out, and that started getting my attention. I'm like, who is this guy? And then I realized it was the same guy who did Oz, and I made me have a fonder appreciation for his artistic style, because while the Young Marvel or Baby Marvel, whatever you want to call them, variant covers look cartoony and stuff like that, he has a wide range of artistic skills, and you can see that by the whimsical and manic nature of like his Oz book. And we'll go into a little bit more about the art later.
Nice. Yeah, okay. We should just go ahead and get into the deep dive of everything. So let's go ahead and start discussing the story. But before we get too deep into this, we actually talked to Scotty Young yesterday, and we asked him how he came up with the idea for I Hate Fairyland, and here's what he had to say.
I came up with the story for I Hate Fairyland a little bit after I started thinking about it a little while after I had my first kid, after we had Baxter, our oldest. A couple of years after that, our house is completely filled with toys all the time, and toys that make like really annoying sounds and music and repeats a lot. So it really digitized annoying repetitive music and keyboards and typewriters. And we're also watching the same children's programming over and over and over and over, even shows that were really good, like Yo Gabba Gabba. When you've watched an episode, 28 times, it's very, it starts to drive you a little crazy. So I took my love of Alice in Wonderland, and I had been doing the Oz graphic novels for a long time. So I lived in this kind of fairy tale world for about 5 years. And so being familiar with that and loving Alice in Wonderland, but also being a really big fan of like Tank Girl and, Deadpool and some of the more hardcore, funny books in comics, I just kind of took all that, then my inspiration at home with having a kid and all the crazy cartoons that I'd watched, and just kind of melded all that together into a package. And that's how we came up with Gert.
That's such a great answer. I love that. Now, make sure as you're following along, let us know what you think of the story in the comments as you're watching, so that way we can pick up on that and kind of touch on it. So, getting into the story, Natasha, what did you think overall of the story?
Besides the dark and twisted part, I thought it was a really fun tale. It was, just when you think she's almost there, there's something else that she has to go through, and then something else, and then something else, and then something else. And even though she's very dark and twisted, you can kind of see why she's kind of dark and twisted. There's just all these characters that just keep getting in her way. They're not giving her a straight answer. All she wants to do is go home. And, after 27 years, she's got a really dark outlook on it, and clearly everyone's against her. And so you kind of understand her feelings. They're dark and twisted, and trust me, I'm not going to go around starting, to eat people or cut their heads off with axes. But like this story is just really great. And then how it ends, you're just like, oh man, like so I'm kind of hoping we get to hear more from her, or if this is the end of the story, like it had a good ending, a very solid one, but like I want to know what's next too. And that's always a really great book for me, like one where you're like, okay, give me more. So I definitely enjoyed the story, even as dark as twisted as it was. It's so much comic relief in it too, so it's not like a downer. You're having fun the whole time, and the fact that it's fairyland, so she can't actually cuss at all, makes it even more hilarious, and makes also, as a mom, gives me some suggestions to use from now on.
That's actually a good point. I hadn't thought about that. I'm gonna start using that for Carter.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I love how twisted it is because it's one of those things, right? Where, as you know, even as an adult, I'm like, I wish my life had more adventure and cool things in it. And then all of a sudden, she gets that wish, and then she's stuck there, and she says all she wants to do is get home. And at this point, it's like everyone wants her out. She wants out. Like they all kind of want the same thing, and it's just not able to get it. It's like this whole conflict of like, you want me to go, but I can't go. So where do we go from here?
Yeah. And all the rules. All the rules. Like you said, like everybody wants all the same things, but then they have to follow all these rules. So then the adventure continues.
My question is as I was reading this, it's like she got her wish. She's in this magical fairyland. Like, what is it? Initially, when I thought it was like, what has happened to her over these 27 years that's made her so jaded? And then I started to think, because I took me and my family went to Disney World back in February, and one surround on It's a Small World with that song just playing on a loop nonstop. I'm like, okay, I can kind of start to understand where she's coming from. So
yeah, 27 years
is a long time. But I mean, that goes into some of the darker elements of Fairyland later on. Like, let me see if I can find the image here. When she goes to meet Darketh Deadeth, and like you take a look, it's like, okay, so it's not just Fairyland. It's not all like, satyrs and like lollipops and stuff like that. There's actually a dark side to it. So when you see that, you kind of start to understand why she is the way she is. So then Darketh Death like has this monster like lurking in his basement that she has to go and fight, which, by the way, just as a side, it kind of reminded me of Rayman Origins. Like, I can see the inspiration here because of the eyes.
Yeah.
But I love the story. And I'm not sure if this is Scotty's first book where he's written. I'm not positive. I know it's his first creator-owned book where he's done the art and written, but I'm not sure if it's the first one he's written. But I do love the writing. I think that he's really good in terms of coming up with some, in terms of establishing the setting of this fairyland. Like, even this character here who's wearing like a Flavor Flav clock, it has a long, elaborate riddle that that Gert has to solve.
Oh my goodness.
And I also have to give it up to the letterer who just like put all the individual
right,
all of the certain little details like that. I think kind of like really helped to bring the setting to life and establish the setting. But I love the story. I think it's, and like you said, Natasha, it's a book where after the first trade paperback, you get to the end and it definitely leaves you wanting more. You want to see where this is going, which fortunately you can, because there are 3 more trade paperbacks. So
I was just realizing that Gert kind of reminds me of Eddie Valiant from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I can see that.
Just kind of like grumpy dude that is tired of being in Toontown with all these happy characters, and he's just like, I hate life. I don't want to do this anymore.
Because he's so jaded because something horrible happened to him, and then,
so
that's a really well. Right off the bat, she didn't want to be there because, look how she literally fell into Fairyland. Broken arm, like, all like,
and,
oh my God.
The broken arm. I gotta find a picture of that, because like she lands like just face down. Like,
it's not like the happy landing of Dorothy in the house, and
and by like a couple pages in, like you look down, you can see the bone already sticking out of her arm, and she's just landed. So there was something else I wanted to bring up here. She does a really good job like telling the story. Like you said, I just wish that I kind of sympathize with Gert, because I'm like, if you could just stop with the fluffing riddles for once and just tell me, I need to go over here and do this, and I could be out of here. But then her little adversary, Happy, comes along
Oh, happy.
Mhm.
and just is like, oh, I'm going to go from here to here to here, and I'm done in like 2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
Yeah.
But I love also, and I don't mean to like jeopardize the time, but I love the writing in terms of establishing the setting because of also the names of the lands that she has to travel to, and it kind of reminded me of Elf because it's like when Will Ferrell's like, I went through this swirly gumdrops.
Yeah.
It's like she was sent across an epic quest across the plains of time and under the jelly sea,
Yeah.
and
Everything's literal.
trinkets for the trolls of Bridget. It reminded me a lot of Elf like that, but it really helps to establish the setting of it.
Oh my God. Can we talk about the giggle giants?
The giggle, yeah.
That whole thing. Like Gert is going through this thing and it just looks like a magical land and it turns out she's inside of a giant.
Inside of a giant.
The whole time you're just like, oh my God. Like that's
It's
horrible.
just this blending of like really cute things
Yeah.
and adventure with just like morbid, like, oh my God. Like, wow.
I'm
But
also really concerned
Look at
about
the
their belly
sun.
button.
Look at the sun behind the mountain.
yeah,
Just like, oh dear. Geez.
and that's one thing. This is kind of like delves into the art a little bit, but this is one of the pages that kind of stuck out to me. It was like Scotty Young's art is really cartoony, but it actually has details to it that you have to look and see. And that sun in
So
the background, it's one that's like, oh, he's terrified of like what's going on around him.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely terrified that Gert's gonna see him and then
And that sun actually shows up later on because
Yeah.
another running gag I loved about this was the death of the narrators.
the narrator guild too.
Yes,
like,
the narrators
that whole
guild.
deal.
So I mean,
Yeah.
as anyone who's read comic books, you know that like at the beginning of each issue, if you know, there's a quick synopsis about like what happened in the previous issue. Now, like, Scotty actually takes that and turns that narration into a character. So it starts out with the moon and saying that was 27 years ago, and quickly disposes of him.
Because she's over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next issue, there's another narrator who's part of the guild, and then she's promptly offed as well. I think the next issue, there's a townsfolk who gets killed. And even like I think is the last book of the trade paperback. Like, there's the sun itself is you know, Claudia's telling the sun to like, you useless ball of hot air, tell her that she's going through that door, you know, keep narrating. And even the sun gets destroyed.
Yeah. By a dragon. By a dragon
He will
that comes
destroy
up from
everything.
the ground. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then can we talk about Happy?
Happy.
Mm-hmm. Just
Happy
a
little
great
bubbly-
contrast character.
Yeah. I mean, just the look of her too. It's like super polished. It's very Rainbow Bright feeling. It's very,
Mhm.
you know, like cotton candy blue hair.
Hawaii.
And then she's totally got like, you know, shoots rainbows. Like my first thought was, how'd she get that power? Like how, like you've been
She was
there.
like a Care Bear.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you don't even expect it,
Yeah.
and then boom, it just comes out of her stomach, you know?
Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, like this whole panel is one of my favorites because you see everybody on top and everyone's happy. And then that detail, that Scotty Young little detail, the little hints and stuff, you really look and suddenly those happy faces are upside down faces. The flower is like, oh no, this isn't good. Like,
No, what did I sign up for?
yeah. What? And they can't stop because it's really good. I love that stuff.
We actually got a couple of people commenting on social media, so I want to put some of them up here. So Israel saying it's one of his favorite books, or her favorite books. I'm sorry, so one of my favorite books. I feel like this would make a great dark animated series.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
I said the same thing to Scotty
Yeah.
yesterday when we talked to him. I said this book would be perfect on Adult Swim.
Oh, totally.
I would love to have that. So
Mhm.
I'm hoping one day that gets to happen.
That would be really cool.
You know nothing, John Snowden. Said I have a Scotty Young Rocket Raccoon poster over my dog's grate. It always puts a smile on my face.
No, it's
Or
cute.
fearlessly, Troy is checking in saying, "I love that you guys enjoyed this so much. I need to read my copy." I see. Yes, you do.
Yes, Troy.
And I said, you should.
Says you should.
You should.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
All
enjoyable.
right. Now we're already starting to delve into the art a little bit, so let's go ahead and move into discussing the artwork. So when we talked to Scotty yesterday, we also asked him about the art in I Hate Fairyland, and here's what he had to say.
I think I Hate Fairyland was the most just natural version of how I draw and how I like to draw. I grew up reading comic strips and Mad Magazine and loving cartoonists like Jack Davis and Sergio Aragones. And so when I Hate Fairyland came along, it was my first chance. It was my first creator-owned book. I was in control of it all. I had the power to make whatever decision I want. And because of that, I really just leaned into the art style that I felt most comfortable with. And really that came down to feeling like an old school, to me, like an old school animated / editorial cartoon Mad Magazine flavored style. They gave me the chance to really push the boundaries, in a very like way that I liked from like Ren and Stimpy and things like that, but also just the crazy madcap style of cartooning that you'd see in Mad Magazine.
So it's really hard to talk about I Hate Fairyland without, going into the story versus art, without melding the two, because Scotty Young just does such a great job of fitting the images with the story and just creating this overall experience, I think is the only way to describe I Hate Fairyland, because like you said, even with the lettering, it goes along with the story, which just kind of creates this completed vision, I think. So
You can
I
hear
don't
it.
know. You can actually hear
Yeah,
it as
yeah.
well as see it. It's
Such
so
a gross
creative.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I
Such a
want to.
gross
I don't know if I want to hear this panel. though.
No.
But now that he said the Ren and Stimpy thing, and I look at this, you can clearly see the influence, because Ren and Stimpy was like that early '90s, kind of cute but really disgusting,
Mhm.
super gross.
Yeah, and I think I kind of touched on this earlier. And one of the things I said about Scotty Young is that while he is, he, especially with the young Marvel covers, has a cartoony look. He has a breadth of other artistic styles that he's done over the years. So he also, back when he was working on Human Torch, he had a more graffiti style, and then he went to kind of an animated look with New Warriors, and then the whimsical and manic look of his Oz titles, and then the cartoony look of the Young Marvel variant covers. He's got a wide range of styles that he can work with, and I kind of saw this as a conglomeration of all those styles in this together. You can see, let me see if I can find the panel. Yeah. So when we talked about earlier how the moon got destroyed, that's another detail in the background. It's the moon is actually
I
bandaged.
didn't even notice that.
The moon is actually bandaged up.
Oh.
It's the same moon from earlier. He's actually even before this fight, the moon has an angry, oh yeah, she's gonna get it now look on his face.
Well, and to point out, he's not a crescent moon. He's just missing part of his face because she shot it off.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly.
He's missing an eye.
That's amazing.
yeah.
But
I
even
didn't even notice that part.
oh, it's so delightfully bloody. But
But that's the thing with his artwork is
Yeah.
it's you kind of have to have it be a little cutesy to be as brutal as it is. I
Mhm.
think if you went with a very straightforward kind of art style,
Yeah.
say something from Preacher or something like that, it would just be so
Gruesome.
gruesome and just dark, and I don't think it would have it, I don't even know if you could get away with some of the stuff that Kurt does in there, except for the fact that it's cute, so she gets away with it.
real quick, before we go on a little further, I just want to remind people that we are giving away the Deadpool statue of Deadpool and Work for Hire statue from Diamond Select Toys. We just want to let people know that if you want to win this, just let us know what your favorite Scotty Young comic is in the comments, and we are going to pick the winner at the end of the show. So please send in your comments with what your favorite Scotty Young comic is. But yeah, let me get back to where I was here with the art. Yeah, and that's what I was talking about with detail.
Oh
How
my god!
there's
those
a
are
lot
her
of detail
guts.
in that. Yes, there's a lot of detail there.
See that the
Yeah.
eyeball is classic Ren and Stimpy. Just
Oh.
Definitely.
I love it.
And some of the
So
things, and this kind of harkens back to the story, but it ties in with the art more, because there's 6 or 7 pages that Scotty does where he's trying to tell a joke where Gert falls off a cliff and she's just dead. So that's 3 pages of it right there. And this happens so long where Larry, her familiar or guide or whatever you want to call him, is there long enough to start building a house and then have winter and then build an addition onto that house, get married, raise a family, have that family walk out on him, have that house burn down, And then like only to like be awoken by Happy singing. And Gert says, Larry, if you don't stop singing, I'm going to make sure that you don't live long enough to get married and raise a family. So the fact that he took like 6 to 7 pages for that one joke is just hilarious to me.
And she grew a fancy beard in the process.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, Fairyland is a magical place. All kinds
That's
of things
right.
happen there.
It was perfect ringlets too.
Now, did you have a favorite moment, Natasha?
Yes, I mean we talked about it a little bit earlier. Honestly, the whole scene with Happy and the just shooting her with rainbows. Yes, that whole panel. I was gonna bring it up on mine. That whole panel is just amazing because, like, for me, I felt like here it is. Gert finally gets this real power and real like retaliation. Like before, like she's doing stuff, she's murdering, she's maiming, everything else. But like here is like her real, not redemption. I don't know if that's the right word, but like you've got what the epitome of you think Fairyland is, and then what it really is.
It's like,
And then
and just she's like, oh yeah, it's like that.
yeah, exactly. Like. It's like this little girl thinks too, oh, it's Happy, go lucky. And then even the things that are shooting out of Happy's hands are just like, no, I don't like this.
It's like
watching. It's just a chance. It's just a chance for Gert too, like to finally, all that built up 27 years of rage. She just consumes the Happy, and guess what? It's not what you think it is.
Like I grew up on the Care Bear Adventures, the Care Bear movie. So it's like, can you imagine being a little kid and watching the Care Bear movie? The Care Bears are shining like their goodness and happiness, and then whatever they're fighting just absorbs it and is like, yeah, like, that would be terrifying. And that's exactly what that panel reminds me of.
Exactly.
I love some of the tropes that Scotty plays with. Like this is, in my mind, like definitely inspired by Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, so like there's elements that he incorporates into like the book, and even some of the later titles with trade paperbacks like 2, 3, and 4. There's I don't want to give away too much, but there's this one scene where it kind of takes on like old anime and manga, and there's a conversation between Gert and I think he's a samurai or a ninja or whatever, and it's like it's this huge long conversation, but you still see like the anime lines behind her throughout the whole thing. It's kind of similar to the her being dead for 6 or 7 pages I was talking about earlier.
I like how he takes that advantage of using the space, because I feel like he didn't have those limitations of like this is how many squares you have and how many pages, and he was just like, yeah, I'm going to take my time and lay out this like huge joke. That's great.
And the one thing also that I mean, I don't know if I'd say it bugs me, but there are certain times where you kind of want more of the art because it's so detailed and so glorious. Like one of the last pages or early pages of a first run or comic, whatever. But this barbarian shows up with very profound nipples, I must say. But I mean, this is when they were on Ice Cream Island. So I mean, it's cold there, so we'll but anyway, so he shows up to kill Gert. And this is like the end, I think, issue 1 or 2, I forget. But the very first page in the next one, after she kills the mouse, is his head.
Yeah,
like
having a conversation with his head.
I wish I like seen that battle, because some of the things I like seeing in this book are the fights where Gert, especially here where she's taking on the demon satyrs. I would have liked to have seen something like that with the barbarian, but I also think that the humor of it is even funnier than being able to see the actual battle happening, because here he is at one point, and the next thing you see is his decapitated head.
Oh God, it's great.
So for me, who has the book, not the separate issues, it's great because it's here. There we go. There. And then it goes to the next page. And like, that's your hint. And then it goes right into, this great scene and the narrator again. And so you're like, oh, okay, well, they shows up. So what's going to happen? Like, apparently it wasn't good.
The Bloody Stars, that was even in the first issue. It's like, and it was her. It was like nothing. It was a nightmare. Nothing but the green of her hair and the blood of my people.
So twisted.
I love this book so much. I really hope that one day, like, we get to see more of some Gert, because, like, Yeah, I've read all of the books, and it's a fun read. I really can't recommend this enough to anyone who's a Scotty Young fan. If you haven't read it, if you're just familiar with the Young Marvel variant covers or the Oz book, like give this one a read. It's like this is such a fun read, especially if you're dark and twisted, like most of us are on this panel.
And after 2020, even if you're not a Scotty Young fan, read it because it's got some really great humor.
Yeah,
and
Fairyland
a lot
is
of twists.
2020.
Yeah.
Ellen W62 is saying it sounds so good. I just had to go and buy them on Amazon. Awesome!
Yay! Awesome.
Friendly local comic shop and go there to buy them. Happy we were able to turn it on to him. Ken Young is saying yes, the Barbarian is so Alfred E. Newman. I didn't catch that. Let me see that again. I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing. I want to see when I think Alfred E. Newman, I think like the space in his teeth. Oh, there's a little.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Okay.
There it is.
I was way off.
All right. Now, with Scotty performing duties as both artist and writer on I Hate Fairyland, we asked him if he finds it challenging or easier to work on a book where he has to do both. And here's what he had to say.
It's definitely easier to be writing and drawing it all on your own, because all the decisions are with you. You know, if I come up with an idea and it's too hard, I'm not going to let anybody down. I'm going to change the idea. I'll come up with something easier to draw, or something that I'm better at drawing. Or if I get bored of the same thing, I will switch it up and change it up. I'll add new characters. I'll add new settings, things like that. So yeah, it's definitely easier to do when you're in control of it all.
He has such great insights. Okay, so now before we get into the overall thoughts, I just wanted to say that this is one of my favorite things to read. It really is that epitome of cuteness versus something that's gory and just wicked. And it reminds me of like Sanrio's Agretsuko, where it's like this cute little character and yet she cusses all the time and is into karaokeing like grunge rock, death metal, which is exactly what Gert is. So I wanted to say my little thing really fast because I was really excited about reading this one.
What's the name of it? Agretsuko?
Agretsuko. It's on I think Netflix, and it's Sanrio's newest character, and she works in an office. I think she's like a secretary or something, but like she just hates her job. She hates everything, and she's super cute. But then she goes out and she like does death metal rock karaoke to like relieve her stress at night. So it's perfectly Gert.
Well, I know what I'm doing with the rest of my night after this is over. So
Right?
that's amazing.
All right, let's get into overall thoughts. Let's start with you, Natasha. Oh. All right, Natasha, what is your overall thoughts?
I got that intro. Whoo, do. Overall thought is read this book. Get this book. I know I'm going to read it again. I just got, I have the whole, I'm not as cool as Johnny and don't have each individual book, so I have the whole book. But I'm going to go back and read it again because after even just this discussion, seeing little things that I missed, little details in the art, and just rereading the story because it's just really fun and it's dark and it's twisted and it has so much humor and there is a little hint of heart, not just ones that, she's ripping out of people. It's just a really enjoyable book and I really, really like it. And it just makes me want to get more Scotty Young stuff. So that's never a bad thing, I think. As a fan of his art, definitely this book has it all. I like it. Thanks for choosing this one. Yeah.
We converted another one.
Yes. Well, I was already a fan because his collectibles are some of my favorite pieces. I know Johnny has a ridiculous amount of them and I'm super jealous. And anytime I get them on Talking Toys, I always try to hang out with them a little bit longer before we have to put them back in the box. I super, super love the stuff. Like the Thanos is great. The Spider-Man with Venom is one of my favorites. I know Johnny has that one.
Well, and just like not to take over your answer, but it's amazing.
Please
it's amazing how well like the people at and Diamond Select Toys with the Gentle Giant Studios are able to capture like a 3D
look at that
sculpture
is so cool.
or statue from something that was just like a 2D medium in the first place. Like they go around and like get all like details in the back. It's Like they do such a good job. But
It's so cool, and it goes back to one of my favorite things of collectibles that are, you know, small space friendly. Like I have a little thing on, what is that called? A shelf on top of my desk area, and it's got smaller fingers. I've got some pops, I've got some other, you know, some anime stuff up there, and you know, being able to be a collector at you know, a smaller scale, so you know, if you don't have a lot of space, it's great. And then but having so much detail, like Johnny just showed, like in these pieces and in these and then in the art itself. I mean, in the art itself, it's just so cool. And you know, as a comic fan, as an overall fan of everything, obviously, but it's just good. It's a good stuff. Highly recommend. 5 stars.
Oh, Mia's muted.
Oh,
There you
I
go.
don't know how that happened. All right.
Okay.
No, we really need to talk to Diamond and Gentle Giant about doing a Gert figure.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that'd be so cool.
Or like a diorama of like the front cover where she's
Yes,
got like all
she's got
the
she has to have the axe. I have to have
yeah.
axes are my favorite weapon, and that would be amazing if
Mm-hmm.
she had that. And look, with the little bomb and the little cute, like,
On
so
top of the
her-
mushroom, yeah.
yeah, and all that
Yes.
mushroom head, and then the darkness of it all, and then I just love her little striped socks and her little leg
Mhm.
and her little leg up. Like, aren't I adorable? I'm gonna slaughter you now.
It was I went to Lexington Comic Con and I was judging their cosplay contest, and I ended up giving my judges award to a little girl that was dressed as Gert, and it was so funny because the parents
So
were like,
cool.
"We won't, we read it to her, but we kind of explained to her like, you know, you can't use the words and stuff like." But she came out there with the big old axe, and she walked on
I
stage
love
just with this
it.
attitude, and it was so cute. So yeah, it's just I would love to see a Gert figure.
That would be
Right
so
now,
cool.
Johnny, the ultimate fanboy of Scotty Young, give us your
Take it
final
over.
thought.
I don't even know what to say that I haven't already said. Like honestly, like it's just Scotty Young is a fan favorite of a lot of people, and he's a favorite of mine. And like I Hate Fairyland like really is a great first endeavor for Scotty in terms of like of a creator owned comic. I think at least for my sense of humor, he nailed it. He nailed it. Like you know, he hit it out of the park for this. I love the contrast between Gert and Happy. I love all the characters that are in here. I love the story. I love like the pseudo swearing of muffin-huggin and Fluffer and fluff this and fluff that and you know fluff you moon we'll fluff you
Yeah.
and fluff this map. So I think I remember reading an interview somewhere that like Scotty said that the way that works is there's like a wizard enchanting or casting a spell nonstop so that she can't swear, and so it's just this lonely wizard like somewhere locked into a tower. It's just like I'm so tired, I can't stop. I can't keep up with her. But I love like Scotty Young book, and if you're a Scotty Young fan of his of the Young Marvel covers of the Oz books, like and you haven't read I Hate Fairyland, do yourself a favor, pick this up. It's a great fun read, and like at the end of the trade paperback, you're going to want to pick up the next 3 trade paperbacks.
That's the sad thing is I really want there to be more. I mean, the book
Yeah.
started in 2015 and ended in 2018, and it still has so many fans. So one of the things was we asked Scotty if he were to revisit Fairyland, where would he see the story going, or if he feels that Gert's story is complete in the book's 20-issue run.
Oh, Gert's story is definitely not complete, and I definitely have plans of revisiting that world, whether or not on a regular basis or diving back in when after a project here and a project there. But I will say that I'm definitely itching to go back and play around in Fairyland for sure. Like it's this past year has really. I've really been dying to do it. I feel like I probably would have gotten there quicker had the whole world not shut down. But I think everybody can definitely count on some Gert in their future.
Yes.
See, that's what we were looking to hear.
Yay.
We can say it. I heard that
Yay.
yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so excited."
You heard it here first.
Awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you haven't heard it here first. The issue 20 came out about 2 years ago. So and I think I'm pretty sure he said like before that he wanted to revisit it. I think his schedule just got too busy because he's high in demand, at least with all the variant covers that he's doing, and he's working on a bunch of other books. He's writing Strange Academy right now with Humberto Ramos. So he's a busy man right now.
Yeah. And speaking of busy, we've been busy trying to look at all the comments to do our giveaway.
I have been waiting for people to give me their favorite Scotty Young story, but nobody has chimed in. So apparently,
Oh no.
nobody wants to win this Marvel animated style Deadpool Merc for Hire statue from Diamond Select Toys. Let us know in the comments, what is your favorite Scotty Young comic? But nobody has actually commented live, and I'm very disappointed.
One person said one of my favorite books.
They did.
Yeah.
Did someone say something? Dun, dun, dun.
That's the only one I've seen that was
Oh,
close.
so someone asked a question also.
Oh, I'm
in,
gonna get to that in a second.
yeah.
But we did run this contest over on Facebook, and let me actually give me 1 second. I am going to pull this up. Let me just share my screen if I can find it. There we go. Share. Come on.
Do it.
I can do it if I can just turn this up. There we
I
go.
believe in you.
All right, so we did ask the question earlier, what is your favorite Scotty Young comic? Let us know in the comments. So I'm going to pull one from the submissions on Facebook, but I'm going to go with Isaac Clarke here. He said his Spider Clan series is way underrated. So that's something we haven't even gone into. This is one of his earliest works. So the fact that someone went and did like that deep of a dive into it. So I'm going to say Isaac Clarke, you are the winner.
Hooray!
All right.
Yay!
Woo! Yay! Isaac Clarke will be notified, and we'll get that out to him. And I'm very jealous because that's a really, really
So
cute
jealous.
figure. It's
So
super
cute.
cute.
And it's bigger than the regular like General Giant.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it was like $125 or something. I forget what the retail price on that was, but congratulations, because I'm jealous and I wanted that.
All of us did.
Yes, we did have a question in the chat. Nothing John Snowden was saying. So, dumb question: has a collected hardcover been published? And a collected hardcover has been published, but there's actually two collected hardcovers. So there's a volume 1 and a volume 2. So it was a 20-issue run. So I'm assuming the first one is the first 10, and the second one is the next 10. But yes, so there is
It's a nice fancy cover.
Yeah, and if you give me 1 second, I can actually, if you want to talk amongst yourselves, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up.
I was gonna say, I believe it's like a velvety looking cover. It's got like the pink and then like a little frame in the center with Gert. I don't know. It looks very pop surrealist art.
Here we go. I'm actually just going to Scotty Young's own personal website. So
there you go.
I know I'm sure.
Which we drooled over the other day.
Also find this at your friendly local comic store. So if you want to go and order there, but just for the sake of ease, I'm going to just do this. Share screen.
And if you don't know a comic book shop near you, go to comicshoplocator.com.
There's a book 1 and there's book 2. So there's that one.
Oh my gosh, look at that cover.
This one here, book 2. So
obviously a little more deeper into Fairyland.
Yes. That's when the hallucinogens kicked in from her eating those mushroom-headed cops.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Yeah. So if you're looking for I Hate Fairyland, definitely go and stop by your friendly local comic shop. Ask them to order it. They could easily pick it up for you. But yes.
And then what other suggestions do you have, Johnny?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm not prepared at all. Oh, what is this, by the way? So I Hate Fairyland, Volume 2, Fluff My Life. Volume 3, Good Girl. Gert actually turns good. Spoiler alert.
Aw.
I don't have volume 4. I think I left it upstairs because I was still reading it. If you're a fan of Scotty Young, as many of you are, his Oz series, I have the collected book here, which is a big boy. So
I need that.
If you're looking for something to read, this is a good. Like the art in here is more manic and whimsical, I think, but it kind of you see hints of I Hate Fairyland in this. I mean, you see hints of Oz and I Hate Fairyland because this came first, but this is an excellent read, so I would recommend that. Let's see here. We also have one of Scotty's newer books, Middle West, that he worked on with Jorge Corona. This is actually written by Scotty Young. This is not drawn by Scotty Young, but Jorge Corona has a very Scotty Young-esque. I guess that's an adjective now that I can use. It is, yes.
It is.
But he has a very similar look to Scotty. So I think that Middle West is good. This was an 18 issue run, so there are 3 trade paperbacks that you can pick up. In terms of I Hate Fairyland, this is something that was out a while back, and it became a free comic book day comic, I think a couple years ago, but it was after it was published. But the I Hate Fairyland special edition. And the thing I love about this is since I Hate Fairyland was published through Image, this is kind of like Gert is going through the Image universe as she runs across Savage Dragon and the characters from The Walking Dead and Saga and Spawn, and basically just like fights with all of them. And like,
Oh, look at the little Spawn.
yeah, decapitates them. So this is really good. The Marvel art of Scotty Young is excellent. Yes, Ken Young saying, but wait, there's more. There is still more. Am I a fan of Scotty Young? Did I say that? No. The Marvel art of Scotty Young, this is really good. This is actually the book I did when I was doing my research for this show. A lot of it, it's really fascinating. It's like, and I know I want to kind of promote Fairyland, but also I just want to promote the artist, because he's just amazing. But there's all kinds of art in here with all the Marvel stuff. This is what I was talking about in terms of his work with earlier with Human Torch. Has more of a graffiti type look to it.
So cool.
So this, and it has like collected like so many of the young Marvel variant covers that he's done.
He's done so much art.
So this is an excellent book. And last but not least, this is nothing to do with Scotty Young, but it's very similar in the vein of Scotty Young. This is a book that I read in the mid-90s that I absolutely loved, and it's called Scud the Disposable Assassin. The story behind this is that you can hire a robot assassin from a vending machine to kill a target, and once the robot assassin kills its target, it self-destructs. This character Scud becomes aware of that flaw in his programming, and after he realizes that he's, if he kills his target, he's going to die, he just maims and critically wounds his adversary, his target, and then puts it in the hospital, and then goes on about as a freelance assassin to like pay for the medical bills to keep his initial target alive.
Oh my gosh.
It's an irreverent book. It's hilarious. It's black and white, and it's not a color book, but this is really, really well an excellent read. I think I love this as a kid. I still love it to this day. I still like to read this book. So those are my recommendations. Taco Maniac says, "Yeah, I have a question, but there is no question." So be lovely here.
Question. Now, my recommendation would be one called Pretty Violent, kind of reminiscent of that same, cutesy style with something being like ultra violent. But it's basically a girl who is super strong and is a superhero, and all of her siblings happen to be notorious criminals. So kind of like that same idea. And I think it's one that if you are into Scotty Young's work, you'd really like that. Like even just from the cover, you kind of get that same Scotty Young feel of cutesy with just everyone bleeding.
It kind of looks like the cover of the trade paperback of for I Hate Fairyland.
Yeah, a little bit. It really does.
I'm sorry. Actually, no. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to find it because I think that's actually in issue 6.
Look at Donnie. He's got like all of his comics out. He had like all of them in the box earlier when he was showing them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to show you the variant cover, which is the not safe for work cover, but I'm going to cover
dun dun dun. Warning.
There was the initial title of I Hate Fairyland was actually F Fairyland. And the publishers were just like, that's never going to happen. So
yeah,
I'm going to actually. This is kind of that's the variant cover.
Oh yeah.
It kind of reminds me of.
Wow.
So
twisted.
Yeah, sorry. Well, you see in issue number 6.
Yeah, guys.
So, Taco, I'm not going to answer that question, Taco. Nope.
All right. All right. So we're coming to the end of our show. So I want to remind everyone to pick up I Hate Fairyland at your local comic shop. And if you don't know where that is, check out comicshoplocator.com. And let's do some plugs before we head out. Natasha, is there anything that you have to plug coming up?
As far as an event or appearance, no, because I live in my house all the time.
We all do.
Yeah. Yeah, but I have been trying to reshare some of my old Action Shot Wednesday poses and stuff. Like when this came up, I was so excited because I did an action shot with Scotty Young's Captain Marvel. And I was so excited for that one because I tried really hard to make it look like I was flying like she was. And it was a terrible time. It did not come out well. I even tried to like jump off of a chair. Yeah, I really tried. But the initial photo came out good. It came out good, I thought. Yeah.
The better they are. That's what I'm
Yes,
thinking.
it's true. It's true.
I thought that you were doing the Lady Death one and you were holding like a Windex bottle.
Yes, that's one of my favorite ones. That's one of my favorite ones. It's the Windex
Pictures.
bottle, the ball of flame, but it's Windex.
That's great.
I mean, I don't have anything going on. I'm just making stuff at home and trying to stay sane.
Making
You're still
And
doing
make a
math,
baby.
right?
Oh, I'm making a baby. Yeah, making a baby. There's that. Not the child. The child. Child's hanging out with me.
Oh.
It's all ha.
We've lost it.
Johnny, what do you got coming up?
Just as always, I'm producing shows like this. We do our weekly show, Previews World Weekly, over on Facebook and YouTube at Previews World, where we talk about what new comics are coming to your friendly local comic shop. We talk about some of the cool things that we saw this week, which I feel like on the upcoming episode is going to be very heavy on the Disney and Marvel announcements that were made last night. So I was in bed.
All of them.
I'm like, Loki first look, Falcon and Winter Soldier first look. Oh my god!
Oh yeah, after all those announcements, I was just sitting there like, I can't anymore. It's just getting hit and pummeled by like news after news. It was just too much all at one time.
Yeah, thank you, Disney, and shareholder day or whatever that was.
God, I don't know. A lot of people made a lot of money off those announcements. All right, and lastly, we asked Scotty what he's working on or what he wanted to plug or promote, and so here's what he had to say.
Well, we got right now. I'm currently writing Strange Academy at Marvel with Humberto Ramos and Edgar Delgado on the art on that stuff. That's going. But what I'm really, really excited about now is I've got a new book coming. We haven't announced the title yet for this one, but I have a new book that's going to be coming out with Jorge Corona, who was my collaborator and co-creator on Middle West. We've got a new book. It's I will say that it's kind of like a creepy, haunted horror love relationship story. Really excited about that. Also have a new project coming out at Image called Twig, with my studio mate who's in the office next door and friend and co-creator with Kyle Strom. We are really, really excited about that. And there's more to come, but it's a fun critter fantasy adventure quest, which we're really, really excited about. So we're in the middle of working on that. Those are two new Image books. A few other things that I'm cooking up. And then, we have a ton of merch going on. We sell all my creator-owned books, signed versions of my creator-owned books here out of Stupid Fresh Mess Studios. We've got prints and stickers and original art and the whole nine at the ScottyYoung.com store. So we keep pretty busy around here.
That they do. Now, I want to go ahead and say thank you to my guests today, Natasha and Johnny. Thank you guys so much for making this a great show and watching Johnny fangirl. If you guys have a graphic novel... Fanboy. Sorry. Yes. Fanboy. If you have a graphic novel that you'd like for us to talk about, leave a comment below and your choice may be picked for a future episode. And also remember to follow us on Previews World social media, Facebook, Twitter, let's see, our Twitch, our YouTube, our Instagram, everything. Just follow us on everything so you don't miss out on any of the news that we have coming out. And it's time for me to say goodbye. Heroes are a dime a dozen, but comic fans are priceless. We'll see you next time. What graphic novel would you like to see us talk about on the panel? Let us know in the comments and your submission could be picked for a future episode.